In this year of isolation, 2020, the time of COVID, many of us might marvel at how much time has passed already. Many of us might think that time is passing slowly. A guy named Harvey Mackey, a businessman and writer, said that time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. And as our year turns to November, the church year begins to come to an end. We start out this month, November 1st, with All Saints' Day. Go through the end of ordinary time, and the end of the month, we enter Advent, the advent of a new church year. And I have to ask, what are we doing with our time? What are we doing with our time? Well, hello, it's Deacon Chris coming to you at this end of our church year. At the end of the church year, we get these readings that remind us that we have to be ready for the coming of the Lord. Starting with All Souls Day in the beginning of November, we hear the Beatitudes, ways that we should live our lives to be ready for the future coming reward of heaven. We hear these readings of thirsting for God, of people who have fallen asleep being brought home to God as the Lord himself with a word of command, the voice of an archangel, with the trumpet of God, and the dead will rise in Christ. We hear of bridesmaids who are stuck outside of a wedding feast because they were unprepared for the arrival of the groom because they didn't have oil for their lamps. We hear images like the day of the Lord coming like a thief in the night. We hear that we should be like children of the light and not to embrace the sleep of darkness. We hear stories of servants who were entrusted with the master's resources, and those who invest it get rewarded. The one who buries the treasure gets punished and thrown out into the darkness where there's wailing and gnashing of teeth. Christ the King, the end of the church year, we hear of the shepherd seeking the lost sheep, binding the wounds of those who are injured, but destroying those who are sleek and strong, and judging between rams and goats. And then the first Sunday of Advent, we're going to hear about being ready, asking the Lord to make us turn to him. And we'll hear Jesus telling about being watchful and alert, not knowing when the time will come. The image of a traveling man giving orders to his servants and his gatekeeper to keep on watch and not to let the servants be sleeping on the return of the master. You know, recently I put on a watch because I had to have good timing in arriving someplace. And it kind of reminded me, what are we doing with our time? How well are we prepared? Don't we always live as if we have plenty of time left to be ready for the coming of God? And Jesus in his readings, in these readings towards the end of the year, is telling us, remain ready, always be ready. Because let's face it, you don't really know when